Hello, everyone, and welcome to our series, The Perfect Guide. We have been doing a web series, and today we have with us someone very special. She's Dr. Madhavi, and she specializes in small animal dermatology. Hi, Dr. Madhavi.
Hello, Priyanka, and hello, everyone. And first of all, I want to thank you all for the opportunity. I want to thank you for the opportunity that you have given. And I'm very glad to have an interaction with all of you, especially all the pet parents. And I would like to take your questions personally and answer you all.
So please feel free to keep posting your questions in the comment section below, and we are going to be answering all of them. Yeah. Okay. So to start with, Madhvi, I have a few questions for you. So let's start with the most common thing that it bothers all pet parents is after you come back from a dog's walk. So what do we do? How can we take care so that we can prevent a few skin issues?
All right. Whenever you get the dog to you take for a walk and you come back, the first and most important part when I tell my pet parents is you get the dog inside, you make sure you check the paws properly. That takes care of all the ticks or any other, any foreign body is lodged in the paws. And second thing is, I request people, the parents, to wash their feet with a shampoo, whichever the vet has prescribed. Just washing with water or just wiping is not going to take care. Especially during the rainy season, I have a lot of cases of pododermatitis. In the sense, there is infection in the paws, and that's very common during the rainy season. So I always recommend that whenever you come back, you make sure that you wash the paws with shampoo water and make sure you keep it dry also. That's also very important. Just washing and then keeping it wet, it makes it more prone to other fungal infections or malaise.
Okay, great. And what about drying the paws after that?
Yeah, that's what I mentioned. That drying of paws is very important. And drying of paws does not mean that you just go in the digits. It should be interdigital also. So you make sure that if this is the paws, you make sure that you wipe it clean and you make use of a soft towel or tissues. Do not use any hard cloth, or you do not use anything else which is rough on the surfaces, because remember the paws are very delicate and any kind of rough surfaces can damage the paws.
Okay. And how is the use of the dryer? Should we use the dryer often or should we avoid?
Yeah, so that is a very common question asked. Well, I'm not fond of using dryers on hair because the hair tends to, the dryer tends to make the hair dry. And especially golden retrievers or long haired breeds like Saint Bernards and Siberian Husky, the hair dries off very quickly. So I prefer not using hair dryer, but in rainy season, when that is the case, when it's already moist, it's humid outside, and then we have more problem with creating infection. So then in this cases, I prefer that using hair dryer can be used, not on a regular basis, but on some basis.
Okay, okay, great. And now moving on to the next question, very commonly asked question of how often should we bathe our dogs and what kind of shampoo should we use to again, yeah.
So bathing, actually, I prefer doing just twice in a month. In fact, I prefer once a month also, because giving frequent bathing actually dries out the oil which is a form a thin layer over the skin. So I don't like bathing on a very frequently, but if there is kind of skin infection, or there is infection and their vet has prescribed, then yes, it can be done often. And at the same time, the shampoo requirement depends on what kind of skin coat it is. You cannot use the same shampoo to all. So it's always recommended that you ask your vet what kind of shampoo should be used. Many times people go and check on the Amazon, or they just go on the pet shop and they just go for a shampoo whichever they feel that the reviews are good. But remember, not all shampoos suit. Just like you are being using shampoos which is suiting you, the similar way you should use the shampoo only which is suiting to your skin coat, to your dog itself.
Okay. And about using anti-tick shampoos. So should we use them generally just to prevent it, or is that also going to affect the coat?
Yes, of course. Because see, anti-tick shampoos has cypermethrin,
Or
or
even
even
if
if
you
you
use
use
herbal,
herbal,
they
they
have a
have a
little
little
strong
strong
component
component
that
that
helps
helps
to
to
kill
kill
the
the
ticks.
ticks.
So
So
use
use
tick
tick
shampoos
shampoos
only
only
when
when
the
the
actually there
there
are
are
ticks
ticks
on
on
the
the
body,
body,
or
or
you're
you're
finding
finding
that
that
there
there
are
are
regularly
regularly
ticks
ticks
found on
found
the
on the
body.
body.
Only
Only
then
then
you
you
use
use
it.
it.
Otherwise,
Otherwise,
I
I
would
would
recommend
recommend
not to
not to
use
use
on
on
a
a
regular
regular
basis.
basis.
Okay, makes sense. Okay. Now moving on to the next question, Madhuri, is so another again common thing when even people call us to get a dog at home. The most common thing that worries them is hair fall.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so especially of course the women in the house that they don't want hair everywhere, of course on the furniture or on the bed and everything. So how do we manage that?
So, the first statement whenever people ask me that hair fall hoga, so the first the answer is, of course, there is hair. There is hair. So obviously, hair fall hoga. Our own hair, ladies and men and everyone has hair fall. So dogs also hair fall hoga. So remember, hair fall is to a level or to a certain extent is acceptable. It's necessary that you show to the vet that what kind of hair fall is acceptable. Every hair has a lifespan. So whenever the hair goes in the telogen phase, there will be hair fall, and that is a necessity because only then that will give a space to a new hair growth. So hair fall to some extent is acceptable, and that's why brushing once a day is required so that whatever hair fall is happening throughout the day, you are trying to minimize it, and at one time the hair fall will happen. So that is required. But if the hair fall, apart from the hair fall season, if it's more due to some kind of infection or anything, then we will prefer going for the you need to go for treatment, or you need to show the vet if there's you need to give some supplements for the hair fall. Otherwise, to a limited extent, hair fall is required, and people have to accept that when a dog is brought or a cat is brought to the house.
Right, absolutely. So yes, I hope this helps everyone because it's a commonly asked question. Just the way our hair falls, their hair is going to fall. So please don't panic. Like she said, that just maintain it. Or if it's out of hand, of course you have to get it checked by the vet. Great. Now moving on to the next question, Dr. Madhavi, is about the food. So is it possible that different kinds of food contribute to this, to any kind of a skin issue, and how much can they contribute, and what can one do about it?
Yes. So generally, I always recommend people that food is a mirror for your perfect skin. If you give food, does not mean that you have to give the best brands, or you do not does not mean that you have given expensive food. But food is a contribution to the hair fall or to a healthy skin. Whatever food you are giving, if you are not giving enough proteins, then there will be hair fall. So it's very necessary to monitor the protein amount that is being given to the dog or to the cat. Okay. Secondly, it's many foods do contribute to the hair fall. Home food to some extent, and not every home food, but there are some foods like you give for sugar, you give bread, you give wheat. Many dogs are allergic to gluten, and I always recommend that it's not necessary every dog. There are few dogs who are not allergic to gluten. That's also a possibility. But I have seen that 90% of the cases they're allergic to gluten. There are some dogs who are allergic to a certain protein, okay, and there are some dogs who are allergic to eggs. We have seen that egg allergies is also very common in dogs. We have seen that milk and milk products are allergic. So I always recommend that before introducing any kind of food to the dog, just you ask your vet whether that's recommended. If any kind of skin infection is started, if you feel the skin is not healthy, just check on that if there is any kind of food that you're giving which has been recently given to the dog, and after that the skin infection has started. That's a very important point, and that's many times neglected when people come to me for showing their skin. So the first question I ask is, what is the diet? Because only and unless and until there is any disturbance in the diet, only then the skin problems start.
Right. And how does one introduce the food? So just in case I want to introduce something new, How do I introduce?
So in puppy stage, I generally prefer not to introduce any home foods because we do not know how the body is going to react.
Okay.
Once you feel that the dog is comfortable with a particular food, then I like to introduce only one food at a time. Whatever food you are going to introduce, you make sure you introduce one at a time. You do not introduce 2 to 3 kinds of food together. I like to prefer one at a time, and then you make sure you go slowly and steadily. You see any kind of discomfort, any kind of redness is seen on the skin, or any kind of itching or pruritus is suddenly occurring after you start introducing a food, and then you get to know that that food is not just going well with the dog. So that's
So
how
at least a few days with one food?
I would say months.
Okay.
Okay, so because not necessarily when you introduce a food that the food is going to react immediately. It's called as a delayed hypersensitivity. So when you introduce a food, not necessarily the reaction is seen within a few days. It can take some few months also. So that depends upon dog to dog. That depends upon food to food. It's a very slow procedure and it takes a long time. And that's why I say that when you introduce right from the once the dog has become 1 year or something, you just go slow and steady.
Right. Okay. So I think that is a very important thing for all pet parents watching this, that love is equal to food, but still, when you all are giving food, please make sure that it's not really hurting your dog in any way, right? Like if you're going to have to deal with a skin issue after that for a long time, what's the point?
And table scraps, please avoid table scraps because that's one part that I strictly recommend. I mean, strictly say that do not give table scraps. Your love is on a different this. Just because in case of a human baby, just because the kid asks for ice cream daily does not mean that you do give ice cream. So when you're strict with your kid, why not be strict with the diet of your dog also or a cat?
Absolutely. Yes, so a very, very important point out there, Dr. Madhvi. Now, moving on to the next thing, so generally when we see, that any dog has got an issue like this, like a skin issue, whether it is to do with food or anything like that, uh, obviously the treatment wise, they are going to be difficult, I'm guessing. How long will it take? Like on an average, of course, I'm sure it depends case to case, but what do you want to tell the pet parents of dogs of issues like these, that how patient should they be? Because I've seen a lot of dogs who even, say with us that they want very quick results. Today they see something and they immediately start telling us that okay, now how many days? Huh, there's no improvement yet. Yes. So what would you like to tell pet parents about this situation?
So patience. My only statement is have patience because when you're dealing with skin, it's obviously a chronic form. Generally, when except a few kind of skin infections like flea allergic dermatitis or some kind of wound or something, most of the skin problems have started because it's chronic. It's chronic and it's taken a long time to develop. So obviously, the treatment wise, it takes time. So I always recommend I request pet parents to ask the vet if you are uncomfortable. You feel that the skin treatment is not working. Just ask because generally it takes few weeks to few months, depend upon what kind of skin problem it is. If it's a food allergy, when you're dealing with food, your skin cannot be treated within a few weeks. It may takes few months because till we find the right amount, the right quality or right type of food, we are going to deal with skin problems for a very long time. So it's very necessary that you ask the vet, you do converse with the vet that the skin is you're not comfortable with the treatment, so he can make or she can make any changes in the skin. Second thing, administering when it comes to skin treatment, it's not just the vet. It also depends upon the administering the medicine. It also depends upon the how the pet parent is handling the bathing, how the dog is responding to the applying of the sprays, how the dog is taking the medicines, how you're administering the medicines. Everything applies. So when it is dealing with skin problems, generally it's not just one person. It's a team that work together, and in here the compliance of the pet and the pet owners is very important. Because if the dog is not being, he is not accepting the medicines. Many times pet parents say that हम treatment तो करेंगे but वो medicine नहीं खा रहा है. But then in this case we cannot help, or no vet can help. Just injections, not necessarily it works. If we have told to apply the spray on the paws and he is not allowing it, then it's very difficult to treat. So it's very necessary here that you tell the vet that this is not, and you have here. This is where we say that right from the childhood, washing of paws is very important, or training part is very important at the childhood, because these are the problems that they face later on. We have some, we have few patients where the owners are very sweet enough to explain us, but the dog is just not agreeing to the treatment. He's not letting them wash the paws, he's not letting them apply the spray, so that becomes very difficult and that becomes a task for us.
Yes. So yes, I hope this answers a lot of queries about, why is there a slow improvement with skin issues. It is going to take time because like she said, it takes time to show up, it will take time to go. So one, the most important, I think the priceless word that she used was patience.
Patience and
And
compliance and training. The three words I always recommend. You need to know how to handle the dog so that you can administer the medicines, and this is all done at a young age. And not, you cannot expect a dog who is 7 years old or 8 years old, and suddenly you start explaining him, or you try to explain him that no, you have to take these medicines, you have to do this, you have to do that. So these are things that has to be done at childhood, at the early stage.
Great, great. Okay, so let's take a few questions from the audience, Dr. Madhavi. There's one very interesting question. Someone called Rajiv Singha who's asking, can dogs be allergic to sun rays?
Yeah, hi Rajiv, and yes, we have a patient right now, a very unique case where the dog is actually allergic to sunlight, and it was a little difficult to identify because they were not the typical signs, and finally we have started using sunscreen lotion on the dog. Yes, it's a black dog, and her name is Elsa. And so she used to get these patches, but afterwards we realized that there was a pattern. And they have a nice garden, and she roams in the garden in the afternoons. And then we realized that she got those patches. So we started using. We, of course, there was treatment behind that also, and but at the same time we started applying. So I prefer not taking the dogs in a very heavy sunlight, in the afternoon time or during the summer season. Prefer not taking them out.
Right. Okay. I hope that helps, Rajiv. Uh, Rahul, you've asked that on your dog's back there is some rough skin, but I think you'll have to share images and I think speak to her directly about this.
Yes. So generally, images don't give the we have seen that the images don't give us a clear picture. Many times we have seen that our own pet parents who have been coming to us regularly, they during the lockdown there was some problem, so they sent us photographs. We tried to help them out. It didn't work out. When they came to us, we saw that it's not just one part of the skin that you are showing. You can see one part of the skin, but when we are checking, it's not just the skin. We check their eyes, their ears, their paws, their tail, and every part is checked, and then what treatment or what has is recommended, or there are a few questions that need to be asked. As I said, history we need to take when we have to start the treatment, so that becomes a little difficult just by images. I wouldn't do justice for the treatment.
Yes. So I would suggest, Rahul, if you can please speak to your vet directly, or if you would like to speak to Dr. Madhavi, you can visit her clinic. All the details will be put up on the event page, so you can do that. And like she said, a physical examination is going to be extremely important. So she needs to check. So she can't really help you with just an image.
But you can show to the local, your regular vet also.
Yes.
Maybe he or she can help you out.
Absolutely. Okay. Now I have another question because obviously, coming from the behavior angle of dogs, does stress and anxiety in any way contribute to a skin issue?
A lot.
Yes.
A lot. We have more hair fall uh, in stress. We have no hair fall if the female has just delivered the babies.
Okay.
Okay, it's just like humans. I mean, human in ladies when after delivery generally you can say postpartum stress it is called as. In similar way, in dogs also we have seen postpartum stress, and then there is more of hair fall. We have seen that uh, in stress contributes a lot to skin problems. If you have two or three dogs, if the one of the dog is being bullied by the other dog, also can contribute to the skin problem.
Wow. Okay.
And we have seen this. Of course, takes time to understand that, but we have seen that bullying, and this is very common in cats.
Oh, okay.
Very common. Bullying in cats is very common, and due to stress, there's skin problems. There's more hair fall. In dogs, it's very common. We have seen that one of the family member has left and is not able to give time. That time also is you can see that the stress is a very common. So just like humans, stress can contribute to hair fall. In dogs and cats also.
Wow. Okay. And so then they have to mainly go to the root of it instead of just.
Of course, because here your treatment is not the part that's going to do. You have to correct the behavioral issue.
Right.
That's very important in this aspect. So here, this is where it's we need to rope in the behaviorist, the trainer, the pet parents, and the vet together. Because in fact, here the vet's work is less, and the rest of the team's work is more. Because if you do not come to the root cause of stress, you do not handle the bullying properly, you'll not be able to handle the skin problems.
Absolutely.
Because as I said, skin is a reflection of your uh, uh, it's actually a reflection of your inner health.
Wow, that's really interesting. So yes, that's a very important message, and it's great that today we have vets, we have trainers who are willing to work together. So it's great that it's going to be such a teamwork, and with the pet parents, really, uh, they are the main thing in this. If they can all can together, it's like a village used to raise a child. It's like this over here right now. So all of us need to be involved in the
Everyone has to
treatment.
be involved.
Absolutely. Okay, let's take one more question, Dr. Madhavi. Uh, Terry is asking how often do we need to apply spot on as I have a boxer who gets flea allergy and has skin issues since he's a puppy.
Yes, so unfortunately in India we have a flea problem. So spot on has to be done regularly, because if that's not done, your dog or your puppy or your boxer will get fleas on a regular basis. So yes, I do recommend every 2 months, and it's fortunately it's done on the skin, so it's not absorbed. It's absorbed subcutaneously. The side effects are comparatively much lesser than any other sprays, because I've seen people applying sprays and licking is a problem in those dogs. So I do recommend every. You can also go as per the season. If you have a problem, say during the summers you have more fleas, you have more ticks, but during the rainy season and winter season, fleas are abundant. So you can increase your application during that time, and you can reduce the applications during the summer seasons if that's the case.
Okay, great. I hope that helps, Terry. Okay, a follow up on a similar question is Geeta is asking, can we apply spot on to cats as well for fleas?
Yes, definitely. If your cat is an outdoor cat and you do not have dogs, then definitely you can, avoid it. But if your cat is an outdoor cat, or you have dogs in your family and who goes for walks regularly and gets the fleas, then definitely you have to do spot on for cats also. I'm not a big fan of applying spot on for cats. If your cat is just indoors and is not exposed to the surrounding, that's okay. You can
Okay, okay, right. Great. So I think spot on is definitely one of the most important things to do so that you can
That
prevent.
actually depends upon the sorry to interrupt. It depends upon the environmental also.
Okay.
So if your environment has a lot of fleas, your dog is goes for walks where there are a lot of stray dogs also, or there are too many. You have a garden, so you have to increase your application.
Right. Okay. Great. And in a multiple animal household, like it just struck me when they're asking about a dog and a cat. If there are multiple dogs and cats in the house, you would recommend doing it regularly and for all together at the same time?
Yes, all together at the same time. That's important. And again, regularly, I would say that it depends upon the environment. If you feel that at the surrounding you do not have too many fleas and your environment is good, then you don't have to do on a regular basis.
Right, right. And how do they generally get ticks and fleas? Because that's again a very commonly asked question that although I didn't take my dog out anywhere, he still got them. So,
So,
and especially with fleas, right? Once they start itching, it gets
yes.
really.
Uh, uh, Ticks and fleas are in the surroundings. So when you take your dog for a walk, of course, even if it's for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, even in the parking lot you take, those ticks and fleas are going to come on the body. So it all depends upon the surrounding. It's the way you cannot control mosquitoes. So you cannot control the ticks and fleas.
Okay, great. Okay, just for everyone who's watching, the topic is going to be only skin today, right? So only for skin of dogs and cats. Any other question we will not be taking for today's session. Yeah. Okay. Now another follow up about the spot on is, should a spot on be given based on the dog's weight?
Yes, yes,
Sachi.
yes. Yes. It should be on the weight basis only, or else you're going to, have different side effects. Yes.
Okay. We have one more question. Yes. Laksita is asking, does hypothyroidism cause skin issues?
Yes, definitely, Lakshita. Hypothyroidism is one of the cause for skin problems, but generally hypothyroidism is seen generally. I'm saying that exceptions are there, but you do have you get in old age after 6 or 7 years generally. Okay, we have got a rare case where it is seen at a younger age also, but hypothyroidism is responsible for skin problems, but there's a typical pattern for that. So it's very necessary that it is being diagnosed by the vet, and medication should be done on your own for that.
Great. Great. Okay. I hope that helps, Laksita. Another one with shedding. Hi, Prathamesh. He's asking, how many shedding seasons does the dog go through?
Generally, 1 to 2. We have seen that it is 1 to 2, and it's generally at the exact change between the two climates.
Okay, great. Okay. Another follow-up question on the similar lines is, my dog is shedding in this weather. Is it normal?
Hi, Hazel. It depends. Again, I said, if the shedding is to a certain level, where you. I generally tell people that hair shedding is there, but you do not see any bald patches. You don't see some alopecia, or you don't see that there's some redness, but the dog is not pruritic. It's not itching. Then I would say that yes, it could be a seasonal, and generally you'll see that your dogs will have the hair shedding every year at the approximately same months. So hair shedding can, if you feel that the dog is having hair fall and it is you don't have any other patches, you feel that the coat is beautiful, it's silky, you don't have any ball anywhere that there is redness or any wounds, then I would say that yes, it could be due to a weather in this. But again, if you feel that it's not, and it's going to an excessive level, you can ask your vet. Probably he or she will give some supplements to you, some omega fatty acids to control to some extent. To some extent. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Great. Wow, is that Hazel in your DP? She's really
Very
adorable.
adorable. And eyes are beautiful.
Yeah. Oh God. Okay. Prathamesh seems to have a follow-up question about the shedding. Does a dog experience shedding due to change of diet, even if we are moving to a better quality diet?
See, it's not about better quality diet. It depends upon if the diet is suiting that dog. See,
Okay.
I always tell people that you buy something expensive does not mean that that is going to be the best diet.
Correct.
It depends upon whether that dog food is suiting, whether the food you are giving the best of meat, the best quality of meat. But if the dog is allergic to that meat, or the food is not suiting the ingredients in the food is not suiting to the skin, then there will be a more hair fall. So again, you have to monitor whether it is only right after the change in food or it is change in weather. So in the such cases, just because you have been asking these questions, just down the line, what we can do is you can start with some supplements. You can make sure that you continue with the same diet and make sure that the weather has come back to the normal. You know, the change in weather is come back, and still hair fall is there. Then you again change the food and you go back to your previous food. That's the way. Or you can go back to your previous food in the same weather
Right.
and then check whether it's again, you know, the hair fall has reduced. And in this way, you will identify which one is the, you know, better option.
Okay. So I think Prathamesh, like she said, I think the main thing is also the food that is suiting your dog. I think that was extremely critical because like I know with my own dog's experience, like he gets allergic to chicken. I think no one will
Yes.
think that chicken is a bad food, better or a bad quality. But yeah, well, story of our lives. Okay. Let's take another question from our Aprom. Are there allergic tests for dogs?
Yeah. So yes, there are allergy tests, but in India we have the allergy test which is through blood. Okay.
Okay.
Um, there are mixed opinions about that, but I'm not convinced with that test yet. Okay, I'm
Okay.
still not convinced. So basically, it is allergen testing through the blood. Um, there are vets who really vouch for that test. I'm not convinced with that test. Another way is ideally the testing is intradermal testing. If you want to really go for allergen testing, we have in Europe it is performed. It's intradermal testing, but we do not have those kits yet in India. I hope in a year or two we can get. I think that is more. I'm convinced with that test than the one which is performed with the blood.
Okay. Great. Wow. Is there, please do something and get it soon, Dr. Madhavi?
Yes, I hope so.
Okay. Let's take another question from Reema. My lab has got a small red patch on his lower lip. He's 1.5 years old. What could be the reason? There was a small pimple which has become red.
As I said, we need to see, but I think it could be acne, or you call as folliculitis. So might be that is the reason. If we show to the vet, probably we can start with some application, not medicines initially. Because if I'm saying it's acne, then we can go with some sprays or some ointments for that, and that will subside. But you need to see the pimple, and is generally the kind of pimple which you are talking about. It also depends upon how it is, how hard it is, how deep it is. That also contributes. But I think you are talking about an acne, which will subside with some kind of ointment.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Dr. Madhvi. Moving on to the next question. So this one is a follow-up from the sun rays. So is it helpful for a dog to expose to the morning sunlight?
Yes, morning sunlight. Yes, it's very required. It's not just because see, vitamin D3 we know we get it from the sunlight. That's the only way we get vitamin D. This otherwise it's injections or medicine form. So vitamin D is actually required for a healthy skin. So ideally, I would recommend morning sunlight is very important. And morning sunlight in summers, it's 7 o'clock is not considered as morning sunlight. It has to be 6 o'clock in the morning. So you cannot say that it's 8 o'clock, in May month, and you're saying he's getting the sunlight. No, he'll get sunburns then. That there's a fine line between sunburns and early morning sunlight. Then yes, morning sunlight is very good. It's always recommended, and it's required for the bones also.
Right. Okay. Now coming to the sunburns, another topic which just struck me right now while you said that is, haircuts. So should the entire hair be trimmed in summers, or is it risky for a few breeds, or what should be done
Yes,
about it?
even I am not of a big fan of shaving the hair. Haircuts, yes, you can go for haircuts to a groomer. Yes, that's something management of hair is important. But complete Shaving off the hair, I'm not a big fan, because I've seen that the hair technically is like, acts like an insulation from the weather, from the sun. Okay. So if in this cases you shave off the hair completely, in this cases when you take for a walk, they actually can get sunburns more. But I've seen that in the summer season, the kind of summers we have seen that they get very restless also. The same burners and Siberian Husky, I've seen that got very restless also. So you can ask the vet, and we can make sure that if it's required, then you can do it on a particular a month when they are not exposed too much to the sun. But in some kind of skin problems, not all, especially the fungal infection, only when it comes to fungal infection, then in such cases the long haired I go for the haircut. Not Labradors, not small head breeds. I don't go for a haircut for that. But fungal infection is very difficult in case of German Shepherds and Saint Bernards and Siberian Huskies. In these breeds, or Golden Retrievers also. So if it's a local, then I would like to shave only that part. If it is not local and it is generalized, then I go for a haircut.
Absolutely. Great. Yes. So I hope this is a really, really important question, because I see a lot of Labradors whose hairs get shaved off, and I think it's really unnecessary coming from a doctor.
And you have paid money to get that hair and that coat, and you have to shave it off. So I never understood that some hair.
Right. Bhagyeshi, this is something Dr. Madhavi has already answered. Does shedding happen more when the female dogs are on heat?
Yes,
It is a
yes.
possibility.
It's possible. It's possible.
Okay.
It's also more during the pseudo pregnancy, false pregnancy.
Great. Now, Charudatta is asking another question. Slight away question from diet regarding behavior. My lab jumps on strangers while on walk. Any specific way we need to work out on this? Charudatta, this is not to do with skin again. I'm really sorry.
This is where a vet cannot help you.
Yes.
It's a trainer, and the behaviorist can help you with that.
So you can contact us later for this. But you have another question regarding the diet. Is it good to give boiled eggs? We can still modify your question to do with skin, because otherwise we are not going to really be speaking about diet in general, but anything to do with
It's
skin.
okay. I would like to answer you, Charapita, for this. Yes, boiled eggs, as I said, per se is not bad. It's good. It is a nice amount of protein, nice amount of cholesterol for maintaining skin. But when you are introducing eggs, and I say go slowly, see if the dog is able to digest the egg. At the same time, you have to see that whether the egg is suiting to the skin also. So, as I said, 60% dogs or 70% dogs do not have problems with eggs. But there is a small percentage, 30 and 40%, who are allergic to eggs also. So you have to monitor that. When you start giving eggs, if you find any other kind of skin problems, you find that the dog has started itching, the dog has started flapping his ears, or you feel that he's not he's the hair shedding is more, then you have to stop the eggs again and monitor. Again the hair fall has reduced, then you can start again to give a recheck, and then you confirm that yeah, he's not comfortable with it.
Got it. Got it. Okay. And then once if they are good, then you can give them
Please,
daily.
yeah, definitely you can do it. Again, giving eggs does not mean you give 5 eggs at a time. Egg whites are more, egg yolk should be less.
Great. Moving on to the next question, which is about cats. A stray cat in our society is having rough and scanty hair. Does it mean she needs proper nutritional food?
Yes, definitely. If you are saying that it's a stray cat, the first word is stray, that means she's not getting a proper nutrition. Second, you have mentioned that it's rough and scanty hair, then it is definitely related with your nutrition also. So in such cases, if you start giving proper food, you will be able to give a proper nutrition. A few days, of course, it will take a few days, few weeks, few months, 2-3 months probably to come back to normal, but it will come back. You can give a nice amount of food.
Oh, right. Moving on to the next question. Could you suggest a floor cleaner disinfectant that is safe for a dog's skin? Wow, very interesting question.
Yes, so I prefer going for herbal. I always recommend going for herbal. I suppose if my video is seen by any company of Lysol or this, they will sue me. But dogs tend to get allergic to most of the floor cleaners because they are a little strong. They have sodium hypochlorite, and that's why I prefer going for something very mild. You can go for any herbal. I have a few vets who I know few vets who are selling a herbal one. We have one of a person who is making it at on a regular basis. You can go for that. You can go for any herbal. I have some parents told me that on Amazon you are getting some herbal ones, so you can go for that also.
Okay. Great, great. And if still a herbal, another substitute, can it be the soap detergents or
I
not
would
really?
recommend, yes, I would prefer going for that. Or you can use a diluted form of Savlon, not Dettol.
Okay.
I would go for Savlon,
Okay.
but diluted, very mild. You can go for
Okay. Right. And definitely no phenols and Lysols and
no,
all
no.
those.
Lysol,
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a little problem with that, so I don't use in my clinic also.
Right. So although the smell and everything goes
It's
for
beautiful.
us pet parents, it's a pain for your dog's skin. So please,
Yes.
please try to avoid it. Great. Okay, we have a very, very big question from someone here. Dipali is asking, my Rio indie pup of 5 months old has a skin infection. His skin has some flaky in some area. We have treated this problem. Let us suggest a total cut off on weed and adding uncooked spoon oil and meal. We are doing that, no problem.
Dipali, I'm sorry, but with this question, I actually need to see the dog because you are saying that you have tried to cut off wheat and you have started adding uncooked spoon oil and meal. So I would prefer looking at the dog because if not, it's not just the food. I think you need to see if any medicines have to be given. You need to do a few skin tests if required because as I said, it's not only food. Here I started with the food, but there are mites, there's fungal, there is dermatophytes, there is other infections. Other there may be a pyoderma, there will be bacterial infection. So since this is a forum for pets, so we went on a generalized form because when it comes to dealing with mites or fungal, this is where the vets come in place. The vets are supposed to, look at the skin and identify the problem. So that is we are not covering because of course here the no one is from no vet is not here. So I went on a generalized form. But if the skin is not being taken care of just with food, that means it may not be food. It must be something else. So you need to go for a few tests, and you need to start with some shampooing and sprays and food, any other treatment. So you'll have to show it again to the vet.
Absolutely. And again, this is just for everyone who's watching this and who's commenting is if you have a doctor who's already treating your dog, please first talk to them because they will know the history, they will know what's happening. And she will not be able to suggest anything in such cases unless otherwise, of course, you want another opinion and she will need to physically examine the dog. So we cannot really comment on treatment because every vet has a different way of treating and everything works, of course. So
So that right in the starting, I said patience. So if you
yeah.
are not comfortable, then make sure you let the vet know that it's not working, so that he can find an alternative, or he or she can find an alternative for that, and he can explain you that how long will it take. Because here the vet is the one who is actually seeing your dog and who knows the real history. We are here just looking at the
Great. Okay. Moving on to the next question. Hey doc, my lab's leg somewhere, the hairs are shedding and skin seems like the elbow area. So wanted to know, is that normal or do we need to do anything?
See, if the siding, if it's only the elbow area, the hair is gone and it is just rough, then I would not say that it's something to worry because that's the since you are saying it's a Labrador, so the of course he has a weight and where you have the flows.
Sorry to interrupt. Is this Rio, the puppy, I think, if I'm not wrong? I mean, Sally, if you're watching, please tell me if that is you. Yeah, okay, go on.
Okay,
Okay.
so if it's the part where actually he's getting up and he's sitting and the floors which we have are very smooth surfaces, so they don't get a proper grip, so there is friction, and that's why I can say yes. But if he's scratching, then there is some infection. Sometimes he's scratching, I would say it's okay. You can use some paw butters, you can use some coconut oil. I'm not a big fan of that, but you can use some Vaseline as a lubricant. There are some ointments like Ulac cream also where you can apply, and it gives a softer one. So you can go for that. Yeah, it is
Okay,
Rio.
it is Rio. Yeah, so then he has apparently been scratching it and it bleeds once in a while.
No, so
is
then you
what-
have to
yeah.
show it. Then definitely there's something problem. It's not that.
Okay. So you need to see her, Sally, ASAP. Okay, great. Have a Persian cat. Can we do anything for the hair fall? Cat
Um,
is a cat, but yes.
yes. So, Namrata, Persian cat, are you brushing her regularly? First of all, like if it's a girl, I'm saying her. If are you brushing her hair regularly, and if you are brushing her, make sure you're using the right type of brush, because I've seen in in case of uh, Persian cats, generally you're seeing that if proper brush is not used, then it's you cause more damage to the skin than you're doing good. So that is also important. Second, if the hair fall is, you say that it's, as I mentioned, it's just a regular hair fall, then definitely you can go for some kind of omega fatty acids. You can ask your vet; he or she might prescribe you that. And if you feel that it is no, there is something else, then you need to check with the vet. If it is food related, it's some kind of infection. But I think what you are talking about, I think brushing itself will take care, and omega fatty acids can take care.
Great, great. Okay. Prathamesh has one more question. Can some local fish like mandeli be added to the diet for betterment of the skin and coat?
Yes, again, as I said, anything introduction, yes, fish can be added. I have dogs who are actually allergic to chicken, but they're good with fish.
Yes, that's my dog.
But I have a dog who is allergic to fish and he's good with chicken. So you need to identify in which category your dog, and might be your dog is like my dog, who's not allergic to most of the things, so except meat. So you can go for that. And but if you are introducing fish, please make sure the bones are removed properly. Please have go again, check it again. I don't want any other mishaps because of giving fish. And if you introduce that fish, you make sure that you keep checking if any other complaints you are finding after introducing the fish to it.
Right. Okay, great. So Prathamesh, I think get the fish not just for your dogs, for our dogs also. Okay, great. Moving on to another question by Sachin. How safe is it if your dog had a walk on the road and gets into your bed? Is there any specific medicine or lotion if you want to apply before allowing it?
Just washing the dog's feet is enough. Wash it, not just with water. Don't take a wet towel and just clean it, because it's not at this situation, in the COVID situation especially. I recommend people that don't take shortcuts. When your dog comes from work, please wash their feet with shampoo, mild shampoo. Don't use a very harsh shampoo, and wipe it off properly, and then he's allowed to take, because that's not for him only, it's for us also.
Right. Okay. Actually, that takes us to another question again that struck me is that is there anything like this from the dogs that we humans can get if they have any infection? Can it be uh,
uh, in the current situation, I would say that rabies is something we all know.
rabies or
Yeah,
skin
but
issues?
the skin issues, fungal, yes, to some extent. Few types of fungus, yes, can be gone. So when, and that's why I said when a pet comes to me and he's come with skin, I also ask the owner if he has any skin problems.
Wow. Okay, that's really
So
interesting.
that's why I said I need to speak. I have pet parents showing me the spots also, because that helps me to identify the problem of the skin of a dog also. Because I
Wow.
need to ask the pet parent also who is in contact with the dog continuously. I ask for a small kid because their skin is even more delicate, so they are the ones who get exposed quickly. So fungal, yes. So any kind of skin infection has to be addressed immediately, so before it starts spreading to you. That's one thing. Certain kind of mites, sarcoptes, yes, And fleas, although you do not get flea but flea bite can be to humans also. So person keeps complaining to me saying that the dog is on the bed and he also get those mosquito bites. That could be that because of fleas. So you have to make sure that you control the environment, you control the you do the spot on application for that reason, so that in your house once the fleas, then it's a problem. So yes, there can be few, can be not every kind of skin infection.
Great. Okay. So I think it's extremely, extremely important for everyone to remember this, that although we do like to take our dogs on the beds and the sofas, but be careful that the skin infections, treat the dogs so that not just that they are okay, even you will be okay. Okay. Moving on to the next question, Dr. Madhavi. If a family does not give pet food, which is costly, feed the dog with chapati and milk, is it okay or they will be prone to any skin issue? Please suggest in this
See, the
case.
first thing in the question is you're giving chapati and milk. Where's the protein source? Please don't tell me milk has protein. Of course, it does not have any kind of protein. It's just a thing. So neither does chapati has proteins, neither has milk any protein. So I always recommend that if you are giving food to the dog, the protein is important. And remember, dogs are from the bull family, so protein has to be in the meat form. You cannot give a vegetarian diet. I'm of this opinion of not giving a vegetarian food to a dog, because that's not how their stomach is. That's not how their skin is. That's not the pH of the skin. Remember, your pH of skin and their is different. Your stomach is different, the way you digest the food is different, and from the animals. So it's very important that you give a protein source in the form of meat. If you feed the pet food, there are other pet foods which are cheaper, you can go for that. You don't have to go for the best and the most expensive. I always recommend you can go for a cheaper version also. And you can go for home foods, like you can start with chicken, you can start with rice. I like giving rice to the dogs. This is again my opinions with food.
Okay, Rima is asking, what about the elbow marks? They're dark red, have been applying Stephen B, but has not lightened. It's a lab.
No, so again,
Be
this
specific
is
again.
it's a, you have given staff ban, if I'm not wrong. You have given staff ban ointment. So you have to show it, because if that ointment is not working, then it's something else, and we need to monitor that.
Okay. Chavitata has another question. Can we use antifungal, anti-flea powder regularly to avoid fleas and fungal? Yes, powders. Yes, very, very, again,
First
common.
of all, you have asked two questions. Fleas is different, fungal is different. Fungal, how do you know it's a fungal? So do not use products if the dog has not got. I mean, I always ask a person, will you use ointment or powder so that you will not get any skin infection? No. You generally go for the treatment only if you have got infection, and why not for the dog? So I don't use this. Of course, is in case your dog is prone to get this infection and the vet has recommended, then that's a different story. So I don't go for fungal powders unless and until the dog has got any infection or is prone to the infection. And flea powder I use only in case of a small puppies, because it's difficult to do the spot on application, because powders generally dries out the skin. So I'm not fond of using powders on the skin, because I've seen we ourselves during winters, if you apply any application of powder, your skin actually dries out and you get those marks on his skin. So the same thing applies to dogs. So I prefer not using on a regular basis powders.
Okay. For people who are asking up for Dr. Madhvi's contact details, they will be given. And anyway, on the event page, we have tagged the clinic as well. So please feel free to find all her contact details on that. Okay, moving on to the next question. I hope you have a little bit of time because we are
Yes,
close
yes,
to
yes.
five, but
No, no
let's
problem.
take a few more
I got my
questions,
tea, so
please.
I'm fine with it.
Give me. Okay. There's a specific odor every 3 to 4 days. We give bath to the pug male, which is 7 months old. Is it normal or need to do anything
Yeah.
else? Need
So
to
first
check
of
it.
all, that's a nice question, Sachin. Now, first of all, you mentioned that he's a pug. So remember, pug skin is very different to the skin of other dogs.
Right.
That's because your dog has more of folds. So he's more prone to malassezia, he's more prone to yeast infection because there's continuously moisture. So there is a typical odor, more odor. So you have to make sure that the folds are regularly cleaned. Please, all the pug owners, if anyone is seeing that, whenever you see, whenever you have time once in a day, just take a soft cotton, make sure it is soft, and you just clean and dry all the folds. It can be at the, because they are very prone to fold pyoderma or lip pyoderma. So you have to make sure that you clean that surface, not with any reagent or not with any chemical or something. Just wipe it off. Just you wipe it off. You just make sure that it is dry. Yeah, it is seen around the anus, at the tail region. That's why they get tail pyoderma also, tail fold pyoderma also. So you have to check all the cracks, all the folds. You have to just make sure that it's clean, and you have to keep checking if there is an infection such as there. If that's the case, then you'll have to start the treatment, or you need to ask for any ointments or any sprays that can be applied regularly. And still the smell is there, odor is there, then yes, it will be there, because pugs do have a typical odor. But remember that odor which you feel it's an odor is actually protecting the skin, to a general form I'm talking about. It's protecting the skin from skin infection. So you do not give a bath just because the dog is smelling. Because you feel the dog is smelling, the dog is feeling you are smelling. So it does not mean that you are going to have 5 times or 6 times a bath just because the dog is uncomfortable with your smell. So if that's not the case, then why should you give a bath to a dog just because you are not comfortable? You can use some talcum powders if that's the case.
Okay.
To some extent again.
Yeah, so I was just coming to that since you said talcum powder. So how are the dog perfumes and
Yes.
the dry shampoos? What is your take on this?
Yes,
Are
we
these
can
things
use.
good for the?
No, no, can be used. Of course, you can use it. Not excessively. Everything in limited can be used.
Okay, let's take one more question from Reena. My 4.5-month-old puppy is getting red rashes again and again. Reena, again, this looks like something Dr. Madhavi has been saying, that if you've been doing something and it's not working, please speak to your vet again.
2 months, it's
Uh,
a long time. You need to check to the vet, and you need to see what is the. You need to check. See, I think here you have to understand that there's a. The treatment is not important. Finding the cause is important. So just try to find the cause for that. If your particular rashes at a particular area is, then as I said, might you check the spinal, you check the food, you check. The dog is your puppy is sitting in the water in the bathroom, something that is contributing to that rashes. And then you need to change, you need to see if you just speak to the vet that is not working, you can
right.
change it.
Okay. Let's take one last question from the audience, if the audience allows, because I still have one or two questions for you. I'm sorry. So Sukhada is asking, what are the good skin supplements that we can give to our dogs?
I like giving omega fatty acids. Number of companies are there, and whatever your vet is comfortable with, you can go with that. I always recommend that instead of going to a pet shop, you always ask your vet, because that vet has seen the skin of your dog. He knows, because every dog skin is different, every dog skin requirement is different, and a similar way if he knows. So generally go with omega fatty acids. I like that. I don't prefer going with different oils directly orally. I prefer giving for those, and number of companies are there in the market. You can go for any company whichever is comfortable with you or which is comfortable with the vet. You can go with that.
Great. I hope that helps, Sukhada. And please get your dogs soon, because it's been a long time since we've seen them. Okay. Uh, I would request you guys to ask your last questions in the next 5 minutes, till I'm going to take her time for my questions. So this question is mainly about, what made you think that you want to specialize in skin? Like, I'm really curious to know that was there a moment? What happened that you suddenly felt that, okay, skin is what you want to specialize in?
So generally, when I used to work in a before I started my practice, I used to work in a shelter, and there were so many stray dogs which were brought to the to the shelter. All the stray dogs were having a lot of skin problems, and it was so bad to see their skin was in such a bad condition. So when I started treating, there were some cases I was able to handle it. There were some cases I was not able to figure out that why it's not working. At that time, I felt that there is something that we need to go deeper to figure out that it's not just XYZ treatment, and there needs to be done something else. So I decided. Secondly, I have a dog. I have a dog at my home and I have a dog at my parents' place. And a typical Indian mother, she would keep screaming once every month that uska hair fall bahut zyada ho raha hai, uska hair fall bahut zyada. You are a vet and you are not doing anything for the skin hair fall. And I had to keep explaining her that this is a natural hair fall. And then she said, yes, but we are old and soon we are going to just have too much of hair in our lungs. So that's a typical Indian mother. And so I kept thinking that that's not a single mother, Indian mother's question. I think that's every statement of every Indian mother, uh, whatever family she belongs to, it's going to be the same thing. So I realized that that's second. And when I used to get patients, I used to see that dermatology patients were something I would feel interesting. I would feel that I want to spend time with those patients more. I liked checking the skin. I like checking, that this is something I need to figure out even more. I was more keen towards handling those. So when a skin patient came, I would be really happy. So yes, skin patient has come. I need to. And then some surgery patient or something, I'll tell you, okay, I understand. I understand. So then I realized that I need to do something before I go completely off track. I need to figure out, and that's why I decided to go specialized in this dermatology.
Okay, that's nice. Okay, and one more question I have for you is this? I'm sure all your patients and all your cases are special, but still, I have to ask you that one best case, like one case which you really think was just so amazing. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes.
You felt very fulfilling by the end of it.
Okay. A little detail of this case is little difficult to explain because fortunately this case has been is going to be presented this month at the WCVD Sydney conference.
Wow.
We have a poster for that, and so we cannot go much in details. Once it's out, we can explain all the details. But this is a Labrador which was brought to me not for skin, something else. It was brought to me. It was brought because of an arthritis, and although he was brought to arthritis, I kept, as I said, I kept checking his skin. The owner was the pet parent was a little annoyed that why am I focusing on the skin and my dog is not standing. Can you just focus on the why the dog is not standing? Can you just focus on that? And then I realized that I should check my dog. I should first make sure he starts walking. And we started the treatment. He started walking, and he called me to say that, "Ma'am, thank you so much. He started walking." I said, "Sir, can I just request you to get him again?" He's like, "No, but he started walking. So when you want me to check?" Then I want to check his skin. And he was completely awestruck that why is she behind my dog's skin? And what is this woman? Why is she behind this? So she kept asking, I kept asking him to come. Then finally he came. And he's an old dog who had skin problems for more than 3 or 4 years. He was a 9-year-old. He's now 11 years old, and we know they keep coming regularly. So he was brought to us, and I started checking his skin, and I felt that it's not a regular skin problem; it's something else. Which so I asked him if he's castrated, when his surgery is done. They said yes, it was done when he was a kid, and I was still not convinced about it. So I said that no, I'm not convinced about the surgeries. And he said, no, we are done because his testes, he was a cryptogic. Both the testes were inside the abdomen and he was neuter. So I said, okay, fine. And afterwards, we started digging in more, and I did few routine skin tests. I did a skin scraping, and we found out something. And then I said that I need to go for the sonography again because I feel there is if it's he's neuter, there's something else that we are not able to figure it out. So I told him to go for sonography. We did. So I had to actually convince him to get a sonography, ultrasonography done. And after doing the ultrasound, we found that there is a huge tumor inside the abdomen, and that was the response that was responsible for the skin problem. So I had it, removed with the help of another vet, and we got it removed. And once the tumor was removed, within 2 months, his skin was back to normal, and we did not have to give any medications for that. We just had to remove the tumor, and it was a very rare kind of tumor. As I said, I cannot explain too much detail because it's just been it's gone in a poster presentation. We have submitted it. It's going to be presented in Sydney, Australia on 20th of October. So that's a very very rare case, and that is something I have just started my specialization, and that's why it's very close to me. Okay.
Wow.
And the boy is now, the pet parent keeps saying to me that now he is no more 9 years old, he's become a 2 year old. How should we manage it?
Oh,
So we are happy about
wow. Wow, that is really, really interesting. Wow. From arthritis to skin to a tumor. Wow, that was some journey of this dog. Great. Uh, I think I would like to end on this note, but I'm just going to go through a few of the questions that you
Take two more
guys
questions.
have. Yes, okay. So, can you tell what kind of fruits are dogs generally allergic
I
to? You've
answered
already
this.
answered this. Tina, you can probably go back to the start of our
And the starting
video.
and explain.
Yes. Okay, this is another new question. Can a dog get allergic reactions to any plant even if the plant is kept high above on the shelf?
Yes, it's possible. If the pollen grains are there, yes, it's possible.
Okay, great. Another one is about supplements again. Even for this, Rima, she has already spoken about it. Omega tablets.
I'm not a big fan of doing calcium and multivitamins unless and until it's recommended by the vet.
Right,
For skin, as such, it doesn't make a difference.
right. How often can we give omega supplements if dog is prone to skin
Once a
issues?
day, I recommend.
Okay, that's again very important, right? Okay. Another one, if you allow the pug keeps on bringing pebbles or going away, keeps it in the mouth and post reaching home, removes it. Is it any deficiency of anything?
We need to see if it's just a deficiency or it's a behavioral issue.
And again, not related to skin, so we will not go into the detail of this. Okay. Okay, this is going to really be the last question now for today. Could you help on a good treatment for my dog? He's 14 years old, otherwise
We need to see.
extremely
As I
fit.
said, it's not just. I mean, whether it's fungal or it's not, we need to do a test. As I said, I generally go for test first and then I start the treatment.
And he's already 14 years old, so I'm sure
There are
there
many
are
other
a
issues
lot
also.
of things. Yes, she just like her best case scenario was the most amazing thing to give all of us the idea that it can be really anything. Great. So with that, I think we'll come to the end of today's session. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, Dr. Madhavi. It's really, really been a pleasure having you on board. And I think we all have learned a lot about, skin, which, I've commonly I hear people say, no, it's just a skin problem, but it's not. I mean, it's really not. There is just so much to it. And I think it has been really
Thank you,
informative.
Priyanka, for calling me here. And it was really, really nice to be with you. And I'm actually overwhelmed with the response that I've got. I was not expecting something like that. I thought I'll just have few questions, 4 5 questions, and then I'll be out of it. I'm looking at the question, and still I'm getting the questions, and I'm really, really happy. And
Yes,
I
it's
hope I could help you all guys a little bit. As I said, again, I'll be repeating it. Every vet has a different style of treatment, so I would always recommend stick to your vet, go to your vet, explain him if you're not comfortable with anything. And remember, if the vet is also going with the treatment, might be it will take some time. So have patience with the treatment because skin treatment takes a long time. So you need to just take some have some patience with it, and compliance as well as having a connection with the vet when you're treating skin is very important because many times it doesn't get resolved very soon. So it's very important, and especially when it comes to skin, follow-ups is very important. I've seen that people come to me for the first visit, second visit. Afterwards, they're not able to come, and I understand they have their other issues. They have family issues, so it's difficult. But then it becomes so difficult because when you're handling a skin problem, it starts with one kind of problem, and later on it gets converted to something else. So it's very important to go with it. So please stick to your vet, explain him, have some patience when it comes to dermatology, and all the best with your pets. And thank you so much for listening to me, bearing with me, and I hope I was helpful to you all.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. I hope
Thank
everyone's
you.
enjoyed it. Bye bye.
Bye.